What is that?
Maybe we should go through it.
Listen, I just want to start with thank you for making this movie, because I just love seeing things that are taking chances that are not the same algorithm-based crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like we could use more magical realism and these kind of films, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I did a little recon, and I didn't realize how much you had done short films on all these different filmmakers. I have my list: Kubrick, Tarantino, Malick, Linklater, restoring the Apu trilogy.
Right.
So you've studied cinema. Do you have a favorite filmmaker?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been Ozu. Yeah. And I've done a couple pieces on Ozu. I mean, I think that his films have, were like life-altering for me. It wasn't just like, oh, this is a great filmmaker. It was like, oh, there's something about the way he's presenting the world that is reshaping my metabolism and re-altering the way I can navigate this modern world. So it had a real profound effect. And I didn't really understand why, to be honest. Like the first time I saw a film, I had read about him and I was like, oh, I should watch an Ozu film. And I was unimpressed. I was like, oh, this is about nothing. And I had an idea of what films should be. And then I just could never shake, like a week had passed and I was like, I have this feeling about this film, not even an opinion, but this, like the film is inside of me and it feels like I'm experiencing time in this Ozu way. I was like, what is this about? So I started watching his other films and it always had the same impact with me. I think some of it was at that point too, kind of like wrestling with my own Asian identity, but there was something about it that kind of felt like home, felt like my parents, but it was also at a deeper level, because I think I was struggling with like, how does one find meaning in a modern world, and all of those kind of deeper questions that you have when you're younger and in pursuit of meaning. So that really changed. So like it had a profound change in me. So I would say Ozu for deeper reasons,
What do you view the health of the movie industry? This is a big question.
Sure, yeah.
What do you view the health of the movie industry right now? Because I feel like in the decades past, films were really taking big chances and pursuing big ideas. And for me, right now, it just feels like we're not taking as many risks. And I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's scale to that, right? I think the studio, that feels like that's a space that used to take larger risks too. And you had really original movies that were coming out. And I mean, the real, even for this film, Tom at Sony has been really supportive of this film. And, we even shared the script to some more art house distributors, and everybody felt like maybe it's a little too, I won't say too original, but there was just some kind of you needed someone to say this, I believe in this. It's original, but it's for everyone as well. And we can make movies like this. And so it takes someone to be willing to take that chance. And we had a real champion in Sony and Tom. But, I think in some ways, when we were talking about it, it's really also about I think the health of the industry is also about the conversation of films, which grows the community and what they are eager to see. And I think in some ways, it feels lost because it used to be every Friday, at least locally, there were a group of people who were ready to watch whatever was released that weekend. And there was conversation and you had your favorite film critics, and that is sort of under threat now. And I would read my favorite critics and then have conversations with my friends about the movies over the weekend. And it was really we just couldn't wait for the next weekend to kind of restart the conversation. But I will say the Letterboxd of the world and Collider and some other journals and podcasts have been, I think, filling some of those spaces up. The kind of conversation that exists in those communities feel very encouraging to me, because it feels as if there is some potential space to really, I'm always surprised with young people who come to me and they're like, they've watched everything that that was hard to access. And I'm like, where? And they're like, oh, look at my Letterboxd page. And they're just like, it's almost like a competition among their friends to see everything they can. And so I do think it's kind of playing some role that is creating a different kind of film culture that to me is encouraging.
So I rarely ask directors like the message of their movie, but I'm going to sort of ask this, which is like, do you feel like if there is a message, it's don't give up on love, always be willing to take a chance?
Oh, that's a great. Yeah, I think there is the possibility of love. Like, what does it take to restore belief in the possibility of love, and maybe to restore belief in anything in our day and age? Because I think it's a very cynical age, and there's all kinds of reasons to be cynical. There's all kinds of reasons to wonder if you can trust or believe anything. And one of the things that I love about this film is, like, to me, the magical realism is art. It is the fact that you can say, hey, you're 12, and we know that person's 30-something, but you don't need special effects. You don't need anything. You can just say, how old am I? And the person could say you're 12, and we accept it and embrace it and maybe even get emotionally moved by whatever that interaction is. And that, to me, is like in a world of cynicism, there are artists who've always used what some people may deem fake or artificial or performative, and then use it in such a way that it can be deeply real and can say something about the human experience, So it really is about, like, restoring belief, and love is the human, like one of the human experiences. So yeah, that's central.
At the beginning of the movie, Margot asks Colin to marry her. Do you think if he had said yes, she would have done it? Or is that more to sort of hook him in and then push him away?
Yeah, that's great. We talked about that quite a bit, and I don't know. I think maybe it was in that one moment, an instance, maybe that was deeply sincere. But this film is always playing with, like, performance too, to get to something deeper. So maybe whether it was true in the sense of marriage, there was truth in that. I think there was real truth in the proposal. It was getting to something deeper. Whether it resulted in marriage, I'm not sure, but I think that was possible. But I do think the question might be even more important than the answer.
For me, it's almost like she's trying to break through her defenses, but she hasn't found a way yet. And through the movie, she figures out how to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Yeah, I like the complicated, this is a person who at one moment says, I don't, believe in marriage for me. And then the next moment she's asking someone to marry her. She says, he's like, you're tough. And she's like, yeah. And sometimes you're mush. And you see all those kind of, the spectrum of emotion. And, I think by the end, I think, again, talking about, like, overcoming this fear of something or to take a risk on believing again is really her journey in some ways. Yeah.
So I don't want to mispronounce his name, but Joe
Hisaishi,
did the music. And for people that don't know him, he's done a lot of Miyazaki. And so talk a little bit about what was your inspiration to get Joe, and how tough was it? Because the soundtrack is unique and beautiful and different.
It's very different, right? Yeah, I think if anyone else soundtracked it, it would be expected, like the emotional beats to play. And I love that Hisaishi-san was. I kind of gave him the freedom. Anime was a part of this film. When we were in pre-production with Benjamin and Katie, the production designer, and my DP, we had all our influences. And I've never had this little window where we're like, an anime is going to be an influence, because I was really interested in, and I had been watching a ton of anime with my youngest son, and we had, watched all of Miyazaki. But the way in which, like a musical, in which artifice can profoundly be moving in a way that is unexpected. And I found myself watching anime and just, like, tears, in the same way that I'm always surprised, because if you tell me who's my favorite filmmaker, I'm like, Ozu, and it's such a quiet, slow cinema. But then I'll find myself watching a musical crying. I'll find myself, watching anime crying in a way that I'm always surprised by how affected I am. So this was part of the play of this film, is like, how do these things that feel actually so artificial to the human experience actually create deeper, human emotions. So anime and the work of Shinkai and Your Name and Weathering with You, all of that was part of our discussion. And then by surprise, Hisashi-san's rep called us and said, and he had never done a Western film, and they had heard about this. And he said, hey, would you be open or interested in having Hisashi do the score? And, I felt like I had entered some magical door, and I was like, what the, yeah, of course, yeah, yes, and it was that, I could not believe it. And it was just this incredible intersection of like them asking at the right time, and me. I would never have imagined. I wouldn't have maybe even been bold enough to think, oh, we could get him to do this film. So yeah, it was really great.
So I'll end with basically the most important thing is always ask if you're interested in something.
That's right. That's right. That's great advice. Yeah, that's right.
Listen, congrats. I have a lot of other questions. I'm out of time.
Yeah.
I hope the movie's a huge hit for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.